All right, so we have another Palestinian, pro-Palestinian, also Palestinian activist that was just detained and is facing deportation. This one, I didn't think, like, so it was one thing when you had Rumeysa Ozturk get black bagged and abducted in plain daylight by plainclothes officers, just out of nowhere. So that was one thing, is like, how can we go lower than this? I don't know if this is lower or on the same level, but it's just uh, a Palestinian activist expecting a U.S. citizenship interview is arrested instead by ICE in Vermont. TLDR, this guy, a green card holder, was going through the U.S. citizenship process to, go from a green card holder to a U.S. citizen. So he goes to, and also he was, I don't know if this article is going to mention it, but he was also in hiding for 3 weeks after Mahmoud Khalil was detained because out of fear that he would be detained and face deportation. So one of the ways they lured him out was, he was supposed to show up for as another step of the process towards getting his U.S. citizenship. He showed up and they arrested him. This is fucking sick, man. This is sick. And we're going to go into, I think it's important that I show you why these people are protesting and what it means to be a pro-Palestinian activist, why they are fighting for what they're fighting for. So maybe you could stop villainizing these people, calling them pro-Hamas, terrorist sympathizers. It's nothing like that at all. Anti-Semitic, not like that at all. A Palestinian man who led protests against the war in Gaza as a student at Columbia University was arrested Monday at a Vermont immigration office where he expected to be interviewed about finalizing his U.S. citizenship. Mohsen Mahdawi, a legal permanent resident who has held a green card since 2015, was detained at the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services office in Colchester by Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents. His lawyer said. The attorney said they do not know where he is. They filed a petition in federal court seeking an order barring the government from removing him from the state or country. The Trump administration detained Mohsen Mahdawi. I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I apologize. In direct retaliation for his advocacy on behalf of Palestinians and because of his identity as a Palestinian. His detention and an attempt to silence those who speak out against the atrocities in Gaza. It is also unconstitutional, attorney Luna Druby said in an email. According to the court filing, Mahdawi was born in a refugee camp in West Bank and moved to the United States in 2014. He recently completed coursework at Columbia and was expecting to graduate in May before beginning a master's degree program there in the fall. So, and you can find a lot of interviews of this guy. Yeah, he's lived and seen what apartheid looks like by the hands of Israel. You can see stories and interviews that he's talked about where he's personally had to pick up fingers, body parts, clean skin off the wall. Real dark stuff. The petition describes him as a committed Buddhist who believes in nonviolence and empathy as a central tenet of his religion. As a student, Mahdawi was an outspoken critic of Israel's military campaign in Gaza and organized campus protests until March 2024. He co-founded the Palestinian Student Union at Columbia with Mahmoud Khalil, another Palestinian permanent resident of the U.S. and graduate student who recently was detained by ICE. Khalil was the first person arrested under President Donald Trump's promised crackdown on students who joined campus protests against the war in Gaza. On Friday, an immigration judge in Louisiana ruled that Khalil can be deported as a national security risk. Christopher Haley, a friend of Mahdawi who lives near him in Vermont, was present outside the immigration office when Mahdawi was detained and recorded a video of Mahdawi being led away by authorities. In the video, which Haley released on social media Monday, Mahdawi is giving a peace sign with his hands and being led away to a car. So, yeah, you can look up the video. We don't have time to watch it right now. And just a quick update on the Tufts University student that we briefly mentioned earlier, Rumeysa Ozturk. So, Tufts University student and government argue in court whether she can challenge ICE arrest. Attorneys for Rumeysa Ozturk told a federal judge in Vermont Monday that she was unconstitutionally arrested, leading to her detention in a Louisiana immigration facility, and the Tufts University PhD student described as unsanitary, unsafe, and inhumane. A nearly 3-hour hearing for Ozturk, whom the U.S. government has accused of being engaged in activities in support of Hamas, come after Washington Post reported a State Department office failed to find evidence tying her to anti-Semitism or terrorism, just days before she was arrested by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Circling back to how Mohsen Mahdawi, I forgot to mention, there's a 60 Minutes interview where he's describing, how he not only condemns anti-Semitism, he's witnessed it on campus and has directly, immediately spoke out about it to his groups that he organized, saying, like, that's unacceptable. This isn't at us. There is no room for anti-Semitism here. There's that. There's also, you can find interviews of speeches he's given at rallies. You can find a 60 Minutes interview that has a lot of stuff about him. And it just goes, like, there's no anti-Semitism to be found here. Okay, he's just protesting a genocide in Gaza. More information on that here shortly. There's not discretion, even in immigration law, for the government to violate the Constitution, said Ozturk's attorney, Jesse Rossman, in Monday's hearing. Rossman argued that the only reason for Ozturk's detention was that she co-authored an essay in the Tufts Students newspaper criticizing the university's response to pro-Palestinian students. I also did a video on this op-ed, read it from top to bottom. There is no anti-Semitism, no calls for violence or pro-Hamas or anything like that. Not even a wink and a nod. Zero. And before you comment on this case, before you comment on any of these cases, you should, 1, read that op-ed. 2, read the background of all these people, and you will quickly find that they are not anti-Semitic, and many of them actually speak out against anti-Semitism. And as leaders in their groups, they preach, hey, don't be anti-Semitic, and they crack down when it happens. Because, of course, it happens. And they attempt to stop it. But no, instead we condemn the entire movement and say they're all pro-Hamas and anti-Semitic. And the Trump administration says Ozturk's habeas corpus petition requesting her release of her constitutional rights violation should be dismissed because it should have been filed in a state where she was being detained. Here's the gaslighting again. After her arrest, Ozturk was shuttled from Massachusetts to New Hampshire and then to Vermont, with the government citing a lack of bed space in immigration facilities. This is what they did to Mahmoud Khalil too. Or I think they said they had like bed bugs or some shit. Before finally reaching a detention center in Louisiana. Convenient that all these people are showing up in Louisiana with the most conservative immigration judges in the freaking planet. Oh my goodness, I don't know how these people sleep at night. Like, if anyone's a terrorist here, it's the U.S. government. Tearing families apart by the hundreds, by the thousands at this point. Deporting innocent people. Deporting people who are here through legal methods, like either because they have a tattoo or because they said something they don't like. They spoke out against genocide that we are funding. This is disgusting. This is heartbreaking. Like, this makes me ashamed to be an American. Like, Acting U.S. Attorney Michael Drescher acknowledged Monday that the government had initially refused to reveal to Ozturk's attorney in Massachusetts where she was when the case was first filed, but said that doesn't matter under the law. So yeah, you have to do this in the state you were detained in, but yeah, we're going to shuttle you to 5 different states. Like, oh my God. The fact that the council didn't know where she was does not affect the analysis, said Drescher. U.S. District Court Judge William K. Sessions responded skeptically to the government's argument that there was no way for Ozturk to move forward with the case. What if she is right? What if there was a constitutional violation in her arrest? The only remedy she is seeking is release, and you're suggesting that the court has no power to release her, Sessions said. His Sessions issued an order for Ozturk's release, and the government says it doesn't have to honor the directive. Then we're in a constitutional crisis. Well, we already had the Supreme Court rule 9-0 to return someone from El Salvador, and the government gave them the middle finger. So before we get into the actual statistics of this genocide, let's look at some of the statements by elected Israeli officials. From Yoav Gallant, defense minister, We are fighting human animals and we are acting accordingly. That was in response to the complete siege on Gaza, cutting off electricity, food, and fuel, and then leveling it to the ground. Smotrich, in November 2023, Smotrich suggested Palestinians should be excluded from security zones in the occupied West Bank, even to harvest olives. What the hell? There are no half measures. Rafah, Delir, Bala, Nusrat, total annihilation. Thou shalt blot out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. There is no place for them under heaven. Ministry of Heritage. They can go to Ireland or deserts. The monsters in Gaza should find a solution by themselves. Agriculture Minister. We are now rolling out the Gaza Nakba. The term Nakba refers to the 1948 displacement of Palestinians, and its use in the context was widely interpreted as a call for mass displacement. Ben Gvir. We will do what is best for the state of Israel, the migration of hundreds of thousands from Gaza, so ethnic cleansing. We have an obligation to act to bring about voluntary immigration, even if this war turns this voluntary migration into a situation of coerce him until he says, I want to do so. And then Deputy Knesset Speaker, I don't think there are any innocent people there now. Whoever stays there should be eliminated, period. This is what Nazis say. Like, and then let's look at the statistics. So there's numbers that are way higher than this, but let's look at this. Number of innocent civilians. Ministry of Health records, 50,890, 54,000 civilians, 18,600 were children, 12,430 were women. 210 journalists killed, 113 civil defense workers killed. Over almost 1,200 healthcare professionals killed, 96 doctors killed, 97% decrease in water, 96% decrease in food, and 60% of organized international humanitarian missions to the northern Gaza Strip have been prevented or obstructed by Israeli authorities. You always hear about the Israeli hostages. Well, Israel is holding on to 4,790 Palestinian hostages, FYI. And this is just all the information on buildings. 90% of hospitals have been destroyed or damaged. 79% of the buildings have been destroyed or damaged. 90% of the schools and universities have been destroyed or damaged. And this isn't, sorry, we missed our target and accidentally bombed this building. No. I mean, they're doing that, of course, a lot of that. But they're also doing controlled demolitions. They'll go in, clear a building, clear a school, clear a hospital, and then do a controlled demolition, plant explosives, and blow it up. Insane. The health sector in Gaza is under fire. This is March 2025. Over 1,000 airstrikes carried out by the Israeli military on healthcare facilities. 136 ambulances destroyed by the Israeli military. Just, I think 2 weeks ago, a video came out of Israel just opening fire on a Palestinian ambulance when they were responding, claiming they didn't have their lights on when they did have their lights on. Then they were claiming they were acting suspicious when we found footage of their recording. I don't know if they were on their phone or if they had body cams or whatnot, and they weren't acting suspicious. They were going straight to a site of where there needed to be medical assistance, and they literally, the evidence, basically the findings were that these people were executed by Israel. 1,070 healthcare workers killed as a result of direct attacks or while performing their duties. 14 hospitals are partially operational out of 36 that were functioning before the war. What do you want me to say? Okay. How do you look at this and you don't see genocide written all over it? And this is why these people are protesting. And these people aren't, if you look at any statement by Mahmoud Khalil, Rumeysa, or Mahdawi, they're all against anti-Semitism. They speak out against the violence. But no, according to MAGA, they are all terrorists and terrorist supporters and don't deserve to be here. man, this is a constitutional crisis in so many ways, not only in just how we're deporting these people and ignoring judges, but just like freedom of speech. Like, the Constitution applies to everyone, by the way. Like, I don't know if you know that. So, illegal immigrant, U.S. citizen, green card holder, tourist, like, you get freedom of speech. That's how it works. And you can't find any speech that, anything written or anything of these people calling for violence, anti-Semitism, anything like that. This is disgusting. It's heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking. Like, this country needs a lesson in empathy. Remember, Mahmoud Khalil, he is married. His wife is like 9 months pregnant at this point. Like, she either has given birth or just gave, like, or is about to give birth, while her husband is being illegally detained in a Louisiana ICE facility, facing deportation to Syria, a literal war zone. And when he's done no crimes at all. It makes me sick. Like, I am sick to my stomach. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and I will see you in the next one. If you made it to this point in the video, I just want to give a special thank you. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button down below. And if you really enjoyed it, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button while you're down there. I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. I will try to reply to any and all comments that I can. Until next time, watch that video on screen.